All right, well, welcome. Thank you for hanging out with us on the last day of the show. Appreciate you being here, spending some time with us. Y'all having a great show? See a lot of good stuff? Cool. Yeah, it's people ask me how it's going. I say, well, it kind of feels like 2019 again. I just hope we don't have another 2020 right after it. Okay. And I think that's kind of the challenge, right? We've got some uncertainty coming at us, and we're hoping we're not going to have another 2020 and have shutdowns and all that kind of stuff. But what is coming at us, and when and how much and for how long? That's kind of the question, right? How many of you are already seeing a slowdown in business, some form or fashion? Okay, Deepa, Francisca, you're still cooking with gas, right, Francisca? Okay, cool. Everybody else, y'all are good? Okay. What I'm seeing, talking with fabricators around the country, is that there are a lot of fabricators who are already kind of in recession mode. We all know interest rates are up, and so new housing starts are down, no question about that. Everybody's saying, well, maybe we'll just backfill with remodels. I don't know about you guys, but most of my friends, they did the remodels 2 years ago. I don't know how many remodels we're going to have coming after this phase of things. What I'm seeing is certain geographic areas are seeing more of an impact than others. Certain market segments being retail, big box, production builder, that sort of thing. Some market segments are being impacted more than others. We've got clients that their production builder work, January 1, fell off a cliff. Lost 40% of their business overnight. I've got folks with their retail's down by 50%. And I've got other clients that are planning on growing 50% this year. So it's a real mixed bag right now. But I think the reality is we already have a lot of fabricators that are struggling with a recession type business model, and then how do we make that work? And so that's really the real question is, what do we do about this? We can't change how the wind's blowing. We can't change these economic conditions, but how do we set our sails to take the best advantage of this? And typically when you look at this topic, there are two options. A very common option is to hunker down, batten down the hatches, pull your horns in, cut costs, start planning on when you're going to lay people off, those types of things. That's not what I'm going to talk about today. The article that comes out next month, the Slippery Rock Gazette, will talk through things that you need to be doing regardless of your plans. There are things you need to think through right now to get ready for that eventuality, because you'll see some part of that. What I want to talk about is, if you want to make your business resilient, if you want to find a way to grow, to succeed, do more than just not lose, do more than just survive in these times, what can you do? What are the things that you can do? What are the systems that you need to have? And how can you get better control of your destiny? And as a business, that's what we want to talk about. And the key to that is a sales engine. Now, if you've been watching any of these videos after the show, if you've been in any of these sessions live during the show this week, you've heard Tim Sidorus talk about this. You heard on Tuesday, you heard Justin Shaw talk about it yesterday. And if you've been in here in the last 45 minutes, you heard Stephen Alberts talk about it as well. There is a common theme, okay? Because we all know that there are some things that fabricators really need to be doing right now. The analogy I like to use is soapbox derby. Anybody here not know what a soapbox derby is? You know, parent and child build vehicle with four wheels and a body, get at the top of a steep hill and coast down the hill next to another one. The first one to the finish line wins. Soapbox derby. In that scenario, gravity is your friend. And good lubrication on your axles, okay, and your wheels. But what happens if that soapbox derby car doesn't stop at the bottom of the hill and starts going up the next hill? What's going to happen? Gravity's no longer going to be your friend, is it? That car is going to slow down, get slower and slower, it's going to stop, and it will probably start rolling backwards unless you find a way to stop it. Your business is a vehicle, just like that soapbox derby car. It is a vehicle to get you from here to where you want to go. to accomplish the goals that you've got. If you don't have a sales engine for your vehicle, your business is like that soapbox derby car. There are times, like the last 10 years, gravity is your friend. It's easy to get new business. All you got to do is execute. Execute, 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 faster, faster, better, better. But when things slow down, if you don't have a sales engine in place, you'll start up the side of that hill, and then you may start coasting backwards. That's not a good thing for your business. I think all of us would agree that even a minivan is better than a soapbox derby car, right? Because if down that hill, sure, you can coast down the hill in the minivan, but if you need to go up that next hill, you've got an engine. You can give it some gas, you can accelerate, and you can control that growth. That's what a sales engine does for the vehicle, which is your business. Now, we'd all rather have the Lambo than the minivan, right? But any good engine will do, okay? Sales engine has got 4 major components. Again, some of this you have heard already, so I'm going to reinforce some of it. I'll add a little more detail in some of it. One is lead generation. We'll talk about some detail with that. The next one is marketing mechanics, a sales process, and there's some depth in that that's interesting. And if you've heard me talk about anything at all in the past, it's know your numbers, right? Okay. So let's talk about lead generation. You heard Justin talk about unique value proposition yesterday. Anybody have a good definition of that other than Justin? What a unique value proposition does for you is it helps differentiate you from your competition. If you end up competing just on price, then what you're trying to do is play the low-cost producer game. The reward for that is the first one to the bottom wins, and the reward for winning is you get to go out of business first, usually, in this industry and all others. So that unique value proposition helps you differentiate yourself from your competition. There are a couple different levels of that. There's one level where you just talk a lot about the things that you do, and you use what's called an industry straw man, where, okay, typically in the industry we see these types of things happening, but this is how we deal with that. Those are things that are easy to communicate, pretty obvious to fab shop owners, but they also can be duplicated by your competition. A real strong value proposition comes up with things that your competition cannot duplicate. There's a whole process behind that, and my recommendation to you, because I'm not going to get into the details of that right now, there's not enough time, is to go do some research on unique value proposition or unique selling proposition, either of those two terms. My challenge to you is, if you don't have one right now, go do some research, call some people you know, and I've mentioned a few names of people that you know, and by Monday morning have some idea what that might look like. Knowing that's one thing, we'll talk about what to do with it in a minute, but you need to have a unique value proposition. Part of lead generation is going out and getting, you want to go out and get new leads. Stephen just talked about Google ads and Facebook ads. He hit a lot of good points here that I won't spend a lot of time going over, but it's not just product at a price, it's what's unique about you. And if you go look at your competition's Facebook ads, what are you going to see? Look how beautiful this kitchen is. Look how awesome this outdoor kitchen is. See this wonderful vanity we did. Look at this fireplace. Is that a unique value proposition? No, that's look at me, I'm great. The real heart of a unique value proposition is understanding the problems that your customers have got, B2B and B2C, and how you solve those problems for your customers. And so when you put that out there with some of the stuff that Steve was just talking about, before and after pictures, and video, combine that with your unique value proposition, now you're starting to demonstrate to your customers, to your prospective customers, how you solve their problems. And that's the messaging that really resonates and sets you apart. These are the keys to keep you from competing just on price. Because we all know, if you don't have anything unique, then it's me too, and the cheapest guy wins. Is that where you want to be with your business? Definitely not. Good answer. I don't know who he is, but it was a good answer. Okay. Email marketing. It works with B2B, works with B2C. There's some specific techniques around that, but there's lots of ways with email marketing in addition to the social media marketing. It will help you get new leads, help warm up leads. And one of the things we've got is actually Stephen and Justin and I have got a marketing workshop starting end of next month, I think. 6 weeks, and the whole idea is by the time you're done with the workshop, you have already started doing these things and you are getting more leads in. If you can wait that long, that's great. If not, call somebody. But some of this you can do yourself. Do a little research. Stephen's got a book that's got a lot of stuff in it. But having an engine to generate additional leads, additional opportunities for you is critical. Think about what happens during an economic downturn. The opportunity to sell and install countertops shrinks. There are fewer opportunities. And so if you don't want your business to shrink right along with it, then you need to go find a way to go get more of those opportunities, basically taking more market share. That's how you get through this recession in good shape. And when you come out the backside, now you're cooking with gas, if they haven't outlawed it by then. But that helps you build up and survive during the downturn, and then when you come out the other side, you're in great shape. So we talked about lead generation. The next one is marketing mechanics. How many of you have heard the term CRM? Do you know what it is? I know some of you do. Customer Relationship Manager. It's a piece of software. Initially what they did was, that was a great place for all the salespeople to put in notes for all their phone calls, all the voicemails they left, and all the people that were trying to contact that wouldn't call them back, all that good stuff. And that's good data to have. The ones that are out today use technology to go out and see how well are these Facebook ads working for you? How well are the changes Stephen just talked about on your website? How well is that working for you? Where are your prospects spending the most time on which ads, which pages of your website, that sort of thing. So you need a tool that helps you do that, gives you strong data analysis, not just for what's happening on your marketing. A good CRM has got strong email capability and text capability. So these email campaigns we're talking about, you can run those in the CRM and you can see what the response is, what's working and what isn't. That's critical, because you're going to spend money on this, you're going to put time into it, you want to know what's working for you. And so a good CRM is going to have this capability. Now I say good, solid CRM. There's a lot of great software out here to help you run your business, run your shop. A lot more than when I was running a shop 15 years ago. Some of them say they have CRM capability, and they've got a little bit. They don't have all the stuff I'm talking about here. So if you're serious about doing this, you need a good, dedicated, solid CRM. And there's some out there. What I can tell you too is, trying to set one up by yourself, Deepa, is that easy or is it hard? Yeah, it's a challenge. What is a pipeline? How do you define it? How do you score your leads and the interaction? What do you do when a lead hits a certain score threshold? All sorts of details. You know, what data do you want to track? There's a lot in these things, and if you're not really good at this or you don't want to nerd out on it, get some help with it, whoever you call. There's some good resources out there. One of the keys of these is managing the sales process. Salesperson performance. Deep, I overheard part of your conversation. You were worried at one point in time, you didn't think maybe your leads or your quotes were being followed up with real well. CRM does that. Which of your salespeople are following up consistently? Who responds to a quote request quicker? Whose conversion rate from quote to order is higher? Find those best practices within your team and then do some internal training and share that knowledge and bring the whole team up. You get the data here. It's part of what a CRM does for you. Marketing channel performance we just talked about, the Google ads, Facebook ads. those different channels and ways that you go out. Justin talked yesterday about some snail mail. That's really cool. Snail mail's coming back. It's kind of like bell bottoms, hip huggers, right? But it works. Conversion rates. You know, obviously quotes, we want to convert those into orders. Well, is that trending up or is it trending down? Is it getting better, getting worse? Who's got the best handle on that? What products, what markets, what geographic areas? Any way you want to set that up, you can start tracking that data if you've got a good CRM. A lot of the operational software here won't get you that type of data and analysis. To me, it's really difficult to run a business without that these days. It's tough to do it. And I see so few fabricators who are doing that. Excuse me. The other thing we'll talk about in the data section is leading indicators. Quote level is obviously a leading indicator for order level, right? What are your leading indicators for quotes? We'll talk about that in a minute. CRMs can help you with that as well. So lead generation, marketing mechanics, and here's one of my favorites, sales process. How many of you have a documented, structured sales process? Anybody? Yeah, okay. It's about what I see in here in the industry, okay? I've been doing work in this industry for 20 years. Now, I've worked in other industries too, so it's not been only this industry for 20 years. I have yet to find a fabricator that has any strong, documented, structured, well thought out sales process. That's the problem. Obviously, you need to have one, a specific sequence of events, qualify your customers. How many times do your salespeople spend time helping a prospect, especially in retail, go in and pick out colors and think through all the design aspects of their kitchen, and then you don't get the job? You go through all that, and the customer's thinking their price is here. And the kind of work you do, your price is here. Well, wouldn't you rather know that before you spend all that time? Anybody heard of Aaron Crowley, Fab Lab podcast? Okay. He's got some great episodes on that aspect of things and on sales process. Having a script. I don't mean that your salesperson is, well, Mrs. Jones, would you like to have yellow or white countertops? You know, it's a little more natural than that, but have a specific sequence of steps, okay? And think through what that is. Having part of your process has got to be a quote that's almost immediate. One of the mantras in sales is time kills deals. You get somebody excited about what their new kitchen is going to look like, and then it's 2 or 3 days before you know they can say yes and give you a check. The quicker the better, okay? So turn those quotes around quickly. The good thing is there's lots of opportunities out here, lots of tools to help you do that. And if you're not doing that, I mean, a lot of the fabricators I work with, we're pushing toward a 15 to 30 minute turnaround on a quote. Don't want that customer to walk out of that showroom, if it's a retail customer, without a quote in their hand. Then define your follow-up routine. How many times do you follow up? How often? And on what schedule? Do you do 2 emails and then a phone call? Or is it phone call, email, phone call, email? How many do you do before you finally say, Ms. Jones, really have enjoyed working with you. Sounds like you've probably decided to make another decision. We're just going to go ahead and close your file. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Because you don't want to follow up forever. But what is your system for that? Part of your sales process, part of what you can build into your CRM. Here's a biggie. How many people in this industry have you met that have ever had professional sales training? Training a salesperson how to sell without actually selling. I don't mean how to design and how to pick colors. I'm talking about how to close a sale. Have you ever met anybody? I have never met a fabricator in 20 years that had anybody on their staff that had professional sales training. To me, is one of the biggest gaps in this industry. knowing that, you know, people who know me on a personal level know I'm a kind of high control driver kind of guy, okay? When I'm coaching, I have to adapt. I have to understand that talking with Deepa is different than talking with Justin, is different than talking with Fernando. And I've got to adapt my style to them so that they're comfortable. How do you do that? How do you figure out who these folks are, where they fit in the behavior model, and then how do you make the changes on your side so you can be effective? Big deal, really important. That professional sales training is critical. How to sell without selling and how to close every prospect. You might close it with a signature deposit, or you might close it with, thank you, appreciate your time, thanks for coming by, we're going to close your file, click. But close it and move on. Funny enough, I believe this so much, we started up we're doing a beta test right now for a sales training workshop. A once a week deal. If you're interested in either that or the marketing workshop, hit fabricatorscoach.com. There's some links at the top of the page. You can get more information. But I think it's that big of a deal that we're building that capability right now. I'm not here to sell it. Hopefully I'm convincing you that this is necessary wherever you decide to get it, okay? Those of you who know me know that this is my favorite, know your numbers. Leading indicators, obviously, you know, we've talked about social media interaction. We've talked about the fact that quotes are a leading indicator for sales, but what's the leading indicator for quotes? You've got showroom traffic, inbound phone calls, quote requests from your B2B clients, your contractors, big box, whatever. But you can also track social media engagement, what those levels are looking like, and you can trend those. Are they going up or going down? Think about this for a minute. What if your quote level is trending the same the last couple of months, but your conversion rate's dropping off? What do you think's maybe going on? Maybe you've got a pricing problem. Maybe people in your area are starting to really hammer price. So you got to really put some more gas in that marketing engine, that sales engine, to get your unique value proposition out there so you're not stuck in the same rut. What do you think is happening if your quote volume's going down and your conversion rate's going down even faster? There may be a tsunami headed, a black hole headed your way, and you're fixing to fall in it. Knowing that ahead of time is helpful, right? Or would you rather wait until all of a sudden all you hear in your business is crickets because the phone's not ringing, nobody's in the showroom? You want to know that ahead of time, right? How do you run a business and not know that ahead of time? If you don't have that capability, you're that soapbox derby car. Sometimes gravity is your friend, sometimes it's your enemy. Do you want to drive it and control it? Or do you want to be at the whims of gravity and Mother Nature? Some folks call that the tumbleweeds method of business management. Wherever the wind blows, that's where you're going. As long as you're happy where you end up, you're fine. But if you want to go somewhere else, you're tough luck, right? Tracking and trending data, conversion rate trends. Clients that I work with, let me back up. All of you who are fabricators, most of you have been in business more than 5 years, right? Majority of you, okay? If you've been in business 4 or 5 years or more, your intuition about your business, you've seen enough repetition of cycles and seasons and everything else, your intuition about your business is good. If you think things are getting a little slow, you're probably right. The question is, how slow is it getting? And is it bad enough that you've got to make a change? I had a conversation with a client last month. They'd spent the previous day trying to figure out who they were going to lay off first. We just started working together, just started tracking some metrics. And I said, well, okay, why have you been having this conversation? Well, we think things are slowing down. It just seems quieter. It just doesn't feel right. Okay, fair enough. Let's look at the data. Well, we help clients track how much cash they burn every day and how much cash they generate every day. And when we looked at their numbers, they were about halfway through the month. They were actually in pretty good shape for the month. They hadn't gotten to P&L yet, but with daily management, tracking daily financial metrics, we could sit down and look at the data and say, yeah, not quite as good as the month before, but so far you're okay. What's the rest of the month look like? What have you got scheduled out? And it turns out it wasn't nearly as bad as they thought. Yeah, they had fewer jobs, But they forgot to factor in that their market had been moving from $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 jobs to $10,000, $15,000 jobs. And so they're installing and selling fewer jobs per week, but the cash was looking really good. And then we got to talking about, okay, so this month's not bad, we're okay. Don't have to make any decisions right now. We can wait a couple of weeks. What's next month look like? Well, we had just finished talking the previous week about new B2B clients they were going after, and they had just signed one, but they weren't seeing any quote volume yet. It was holidays, end of the year, that kind of thing. Well, if they had laid people off and then all of a sudden getting slammed the next month with new orders, how easy is it to replace that person? Having the data gives you the confidence to make good, solid business decisions. I've got clients who've been doing this for 6 months plus. I just finished one of them doing their month-to-month plan for this year. What are your projected sales levels? Based on those levels, when do you have to hire these positions? How many more install crews you're going to need, and what months are you going to need them? And the guy said, for the first time ever, I can sleep at night having confidence that I know what my business is going to look like this year. I have good thoughts. I think I'm okay, but there's always this doubt. The data helps erase the doubt. Other data you need for your numbers is economic data. There's all sorts of national trends, Wall Street Journal, stuff like that. ITR Economics is one I follow that's really good. But there are other data sources that are worth looking at. Every state has got some sort of economic development group. A lot of times they sit under your state Department of Commerce, but your Department of Commerce is going out and recruiting new business for your area. Economic development is helping them with that. Those folks, as you talk to them, sometimes they put out regular reports, monthly or quarterly. Go to their meetings, talk to them, find out what's happening. Get that insight, that inside data for what's happening in your area. And our state is the 4th fastest growing state in the nation right now. We got 200 to 300 people every day moving into our state. They're coming from somewhere. Hopefully they're not coming from your backyard. Get your economic data. How many of you go to your Home Builders Association meetings? And you're one of the few that'll say yes. Okay. And here's the reason I always get. Well, I go, but I never get any business out of that. It's a waste of time. Well, that may be true. I understand that. Some good sales training would help you with that, by the way. But what you can get there, if you're not getting orders or new business relationships, you can get information. You're going to talk to, you're in the production builder market. You meet somebody who's a production builder. You start asking them about how many housing starts did you have last year? How many do you plan for this year? You'll talk to a custom home builder. Did 15 last year? And the guy says, I got 2 that are unsold. As soon as they sell, I'm shutting the business down and I'm, moving to the Caribbean. I'm going to get on a boat or something. So you can talk to these folks who may not be your direct customers, but they're in the same market segment as your customers. And by the way, don't forget to talk to your customers, your B2B customers especially. So many clients, so many fabricators just forget to go say, hey guys, looks like you had a great year last year. You had 40 housing starts. What do you think this year looks like? And then close your mouth and listen. Let them talk to you. When you start hearing the same thing coming from different sources, you start to see a trend. None of it will be exactly accurate, but it'll give you a good idea. It'll help give you some data to help firm up that intuition that you've got. That little nagging thing in the back of your brain, that little bell that's going off, it'll help you understand how much you need to pay attention to it, what you need to do instead. Very important. You gotta know your numbers. How fast are you burning cash every day, every hour? How fast are you generating cash? If you've got a good handle on that data, 8 o'clock this morning, you can look at your installs for yesterday. Did we complete them or not? Let's score them on how much cash they generated. Let's see where we are month to date. Now, this is the 2nd of the month, so it's not going to tell you a whole lot, but if this was the middle of the month, you're about the 15th of the month and you're doing this type of analysis, you know whether you're on track for the month. You know also what you've got scheduled for the rest of the month. You can just about predict your P&L instead of waiting until 10th or 15th of February to find out how you did in January. You'll know real time what's going on. And the way you know you're doing that really well is if you can answer the question, how much profit are you planning to make next Thursday? If you can answer that question, you got a handle on your data. You got to know your numbers. Every fabricator I've worked with that's done this and done this well, they love the fact that they can track business performance in real time. It's really key. So if you don't want to be a soapbox derby car at the whim of gravity and everything else, if you want to drive your business, if you want your business to truly be a vehicle to get you from where you are today to where you want to go, you need a strong sales engine, something to power your vehicle, lead generation, marketing mechanics, sales process, your numbers. March article in Super Rock Gazette will talk about that hunker down. Don't ignore that. Whether if you're going to do all this, you still need to go do the hunker down and make some of those decisions just in case, because we don't know what's coming at us. That's part of your planning. But we'll start in April with a series of articles talking more in detail about these 4 things. So hopefully that's been helpful. If you got any questions, you can always reach out on fabricatorscoach.com. At the top of that page, again, are banners for the marketing workshop and for the sales class we've got going on. And right now at this point, I want to open it up. You got any questions? Let me come down so you guys can talk. Yeah, Deepa?
Mr. Young, so last year, I think we had a really good year.
Yeah.
Everybody was very busy. So the owners are used to working 70, 80 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So now, and we couldn't find down back then, so we had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have choice. We are getting resumes that are really qualified and all of that. But now we are worried about recession. So what do? Is it a good time to invest in like sales managers, which we couldn't afford last year, or they were not available,
Mm-hmm.
but now they are available, an HR manager, or do we save our cash and see what happens?
That's an awesome question. That's kind of the crux of trying to figure out how you're going to deal with uncertain economic times, right? And I'm going to give you the classic consulting answer. It depends. I'll clarify that, Deepa. If you're doing the things we're talking about and have a strong sales engine, and if you've put together your forecast for this year month by month, it won't be accurate, but it'll be a good indicator. And you feel pretty good about the tactics that you're going to execute and the strategies you've got set up and the strong, unique value proposition set up, then answering that question gets easier, because you can look at, based on the data we've talked about, the economic data, the leading indicators and all that, then you have a pretty good idea of whether it makes sense to hire that new salesperson or not. Or is it better to take that money and put it into more social media ads or other marketing things to generate leads there? And then as you track that lead volume, it starts really going up because you're getting good success, it can help justify that salesperson. So it's understanding this data that really helps answer those questions, because as you just indicated, without that, you don't know. That help? A little bit? A little bit. No silver bullets, a fair amount of work, but you want to be a soapbox derby car or you want to be the Lambo? Any questions? Anybody else? Fernando, I'm going to put you on the spot just because I know you. Okay. You're going to regret this. Now, we've been doing a little bit of work on your numbers. We've not done everything with them. Is that helping or not? You want just a couple of quick words?
Hello, everyone.
Fernando.
Francisco. It's okay. I know you're nervous.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, I can attest to what he's saying. Knowing your numbers, he's helped me a great deal with that. It's really mind-blowing at first, but it's a lot to process at first, and it really puts a lot of things into perspective. And it opens your mind to other possibilities. It helps you understand how how your business is actually performing. And once you start breaking it down to the different market segments that you have, then you start to understand, okay, well, maybe this side of my market segment is more profitable, or it's actually healthy, or should I continue with this contractor? Should I continue with that designer? Should I go more into retail? It just breaks everything down. And like I said, at first, it's a headache. At first, I had to stop after a few presentations and a few meetings with Ed, just because I couldn't handle how much information I was gathering. But you take the time and dig in, and it's really, it can be life-saving. I know for me, I consider it that. So it's probably the most important thing you can do at the moment, if you haven't done that yet, is dig deep, and break everything down and know your numbers. Before you do anything else, know your numbers.
Good. Thank you. You're sure it's Francisco, not... Sorry. He's not a plant. We've been working together for about 6 months and really enjoyed working with Fernando. Any questions? Anything else? Well, folks, I want to thank you. I want to thank TISE for this opportunity. I also want to thank ISFA for the opportunity to do this. And I want to thank y'all for being here. This is the tail end of the show. This is the last day. Things are a little bit slow, and they're almost starting to tear down booths next door, I think. So really appreciate your time and hope you guys have a great trip back home. Thank you.